Natural disasters are powerful forces that can reshape entire ecosystems and disrupt the lives of animals. While these events are often destructive, they also have long-lasting impacts on wildlife behavior, especially migration patterns. Animal migration is an essential survival strategy, allowing species to find food, reproduce, and avoid harsh climates. However, when natural disasters strike, they can disrupt migration routes and force animals to adapt in unexpected ways. From hurricanes to wildfires, these events have left permanent marks on the migration patterns of countless species. Let's explore 10 natural disasters that significantly altered animal migration patterns and the fascinating ways wildlife has responded. First on the list is Hurricane Katrina, which devastated the Gulf Coast in 2005. The hurricane destroyed wetlands and coastal habitats, disrupting the migratory paths of countless bird species. Waterfowl, such as ducks and geese, were forced to find new breeding and feeding grounds. The destruction of wetlands also impacted fish and amphibians, which are key food sources for many migratory birds. Some bird populations permanently shifted their migration routes due to the loss of habitat. Hurricane Katrina demonstrated how a single event could drastically alter ecosystems and animal behavior. Next is the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill, which followed a catastrophic explosion in the Gulf of Mexico. While not a natural disaster, the oil spill acted like one, devastating marine ecosystems. Sea turtles, including the endangered Kemp's Ridley turtle, had to alter their migration routes to avoid contaminated waters. The spill also disrupted the migratory patterns of whales and dolphins, which rely on clean waters for food and navigation. Even years after the disaster, the impacts on migration routes remain evident. Third on the list is the Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004, one of the deadliest natural disasters in modern history. The tsunami caused widespread destruction in coastal regions, displacing countless animal species. Marine animals, such as fish and sea turtles, were swept away from their natural habitats. Coral reefs, which serve as navigation landmarks for many species, were destroyed or buried under sediment. The tsunami forced migratory species to adapt to a radically changed seascape. Some animals, like certain fish species, were observed migrating to unfamiliar territories in search of food. Next is Mount St. Helens eruption in 1980, which dramatically altered the landscape of Washington state. The eruption destroyed vast forests and created a barren wasteland, disrupting the migration patterns of elk and deer. These animals were forced to migrate to new areas in search of food and shelter. Bird species that nested in the affected forests also had to find alternative breeding grounds. Interestingly, some species adapted to the new volcanic terrain, taking advantage of the regrowth of plants. The eruption demonstrated how animals can adapt to drastic changes in their environment over time. The Australian wildfires of 2019 to 2020 are another example of how natural disasters disrupt migration. The fires destroyed millions of acres of forest, leaving countless animals without food or shelter. Koalas, kangaroos, and other species were forced to migrate to areas unaffected by the fires. Migratory birds that relied on the forest for nesting were also displaced, altering their traditional routes. The fires highlighted the vulnerability of wildlife to increasingly frequent and severe natural disasters. Another significant event was the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan. The disaster not only affected humans but also disrupted the migratory patterns of marine life. Sea turtles, whales, and fish species were observed avoiding the tsunami-impacted areas for years. The destruction of underwater habitats, such as seagrass beds and coral reefs, forced many species to change their routes. The disaster also impacted the breeding cycles of certain migratory birds in coastal regions. Next is the Arctic ice melt, a slow-moving disaster caused by climate change. The rapid loss of sea ice has dramatically affected the migration patterns of Arctic species like polar bears and walruses. These animals rely on sea ice for hunting and resting during their long migrations. As the ice continues to disappear, polar bears are traveling farther inland, while walruses are crowding onto land. This shift has created conflicts with humans and disrupted the delicate balance of Arctic ecosystems. Another natural disaster with profound impacts was Hurricane Maria, which struck Puerto Rico in 2017. The hurricane destroyed habitats and food sources, forcing birds like the Puerto Rican parrot to alter their migration. Many species were observed leaving the island in search of food and suitable habitats. The loss of forest cover also disrupted the breeding cycles of migratory birds. Hurricane Maria highlighted the fragility of island ecosystems in the face of extreme weather events. The Yellowstone fires of 1988 provide another example of how wildfires can alter animal migration. These massive fires burned over 1/3 of Yellowstone National Park, destroying key habitats. Elk, bison, and deer were forced to migrate to areas outside the park in search of food. The fires also affected the migration patterns of wolves, which rely on these prey species. As the park recovered, some species returned, while others permanently changed their migration routes. Finally, the Indian monsoon floods of 2019 had a dramatic impact on wildlife in South Asia. The floods submerged large areas of forest and farmland, forcing animals like elephants and tigers to migrate. Migratory birds were also affected, as their wetland feeding grounds were washed away. The disaster caused long-term changes in the migration patterns of both terrestrial and aquatic species. These 10 events highlight the powerful ways natural disasters can reshape animal behavior and migration. While many species adapt to these changes, others struggle to survive in their altered environments. Disrupted migration patterns can have cascading effects on ecosystems, food chains, and biodiversity. Understanding these impacts is crucial for conservation efforts and protecting vulnerable species. Scientists continue to study how animals respond to natural disasters to better predict future changes. Migration is a delicate balance, and even small disruptions can have profound consequences for wildlife. Some animals are incredibly resilient, finding new routes and habitats in the face of adversity. However, others face the risk of extinction if their migration patterns are permanently disrupted. The role of humans in mitigating these impacts cannot be overstated. Protecting habitats, reducing climate change, and minimizing human interference are essential steps. By studying these events, we can learn valuable lessons about the interconnectedness of nature. Natural disasters remind us of the fragility of ecosystems and the importance of biodiversity. If you enjoyed learning about these fascinating events, follow for more insights into wildlife and environmental issues. Nature's resilience is remarkable, but it also depends on our efforts to preserve and protect it. Stay curious, stay informed, and continue exploring the incredible ways animals adapt to a changing world.